Welcome to Closing the Loop Campaign Data Standards for Better Mobile Attribution. We're really glad that you're here, and we're so excited to have you all. Today's session is about something that affects every mobile marketer, and that is why attribution breaks down, where it actually starts, and what you can do about it. Now, our goal for you is to leave with a clear picture of where your gaps are and a few specific things you can do starting this week to start to close those gaps. And on top of that, you may have noticed that we had a poll when we came in. It looks like there's a tie between people on this call who are just getting started with mobile attribution and for people who are new to understanding what mobile attribution is as well. So we are so excited to teach you more about mobile linking, mobile attribution, and how to really benefit from both. All right. So we're going to get started. My name is Miranda Shooms. I am the Senior Product Marketing Manager at Claravine. My focus is helping marketing and ops teams understand how data standards and governance translate into better campaign performance and more accurate tracking, analytics, attribution, and AI readiness.
Yeah, I'm Jeff Lawrence. I'm a Senior Client Success Manager here at Kochava. I work with brands day in and day out on mobile attribution and linking. Deploying links in various platforms and across kind of the ecosystem of attribution. So happy to be here.
All right, and we are so happy to have you here as well. So really quickly, here is how the presentation will flow. We're going to start with the foundation, what mobile linking and what mobile attribution actually are and how they are connected. Then we'll get into where things go wrong and how to know if they're going wrong or right for your team. From there, we'll move into the solution, what good data governance looks like and what it unlocks. And then from there, Jeff and I will walk through how Claravine and Kochava work together in practice. And then from there, we're going to close with some concrete actions that you and your team can take immediately or that you can start thinking about. And we're going to leave some time for a Q&A as well. So we are so excited to get started. I'm going to pass it off to Jeff. I know that we have a lot of people here who are new to mobile linking and mobile attribution. So he's going to break down what those are so that you can have a better understanding.
Perfect. Thanks, Miranda. So it's really two sides to the same problem, mobile linking and mobile attribution. So mobile linking is where you're creating the data, where you're creating the trackers to drive to your app store or to a landing page or to a deep link destination within your app. Those are controlled by marketing teams. They can span across many teams across the world. Some teams might be really in lockstep with each other. Some teams may not communicate at all. And so this is often where you see errors introduced and discrepancies between how links are created. Downstream of that is mobile attribution. This is where the results of those links are measured. And so this is where we discover the errors that are introduced in the linking side. And so when linking is inconsistent, attribution can sometimes still occur, but the reporting is often broken and fragmented and leaves you unable to action on that data. So drilling down into which creatives drove, what performance and things like that get lost.
And Jeff, from your seat at Kochava, how often do you see attribution problems that trace back to the link itself rather than the mobile measurement platform, or MMP as we call it, configuration?
Yeah, so I would say almost daily we see that as a problem. Typically with the MMP configurations, you have different types of networks that you may work with, like a self-attributing networks that don't really use links. So the configuration there doesn't really impact mobile linking. A lot of times when you're working with like your owned media, email campaigns, social media tracking, and you're creating your own links, this is kind of where we often see reporting breakdown when parameters aren't added or they're configured wrong or they're different across teams.
Yeah, I can definitely understand how that can be and is a huge problem for probably quite a few teams. All right. So moving on, I'll hand this off to you to chat a bit about problems when it comes to inconsistent mobile linking.
Perfect. Yeah, so in this slide here, we have these numbers. They aren't hypothetical. These are mistakes we see very often with mobile attribution teams. So when links are broken, 10 to 25% of users land on the wrong page, or they don't get deep linked into the app, or they don't go to the right place. And so links can be broken, simply with a typo or any sort of little mistake in the tracker creation can have a huge ripple downstream. Not just in your attribution data, but also in optimization data. When you have a tracker configured the data is going to flow to your MMP. From your MMP, it's going to flow back to your ad network for optimization. If the data is broken at the link start, it's going to have that ripple effect. Your attribution reporting is going to be broken, and your campaign optimization is also going to be broken.
And Jeff, to break it down for people who might not know, when we're talking about a link, are we talking about just a UTM link? Are we talking about any link? Kind of break that down a bit more for us.
Yes, I mean, it's really any link that you're using to track your campaigns. So this is a link that would have potentially UTMs or other campaign type parameters that you're tracking, like creative IDs, site IDs. It could be things like passing referral codes between users, or things that you just need to pass from one place to another. We often see issues in the QR code space. QR codes are static media, so once you've created the QR code, you can't make any adjustments to that. In Kochava, you can change the destinations behind the QR code after it's been created, but you can't change the data that's captured when it's scanned. And so we often see this as one of the biggest problems in mobile linking is advertisers will create QR codes. They'll deploy these across a ton of areas, oftentimes in print media, so they have physical copies of these QR codes, and they find out later in reporting after the campaign is over that they didn't actually include any of their campaign tags in the URL itself when it was created. So none of that data was captured when those QR codes were scanned.
Wow. Wow, huge problem there. Even for me on a personal level, I think about when I was posting this webinar on LinkedIn and I was posting the registration link. If there were any issues with that link, there'd be no way to fix it. So when I think about mobile linking, I think about it even starting at the smallest level, and then moving to just a bigger level from there when you're talking about spending money on your campaign and potentially spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on it, if not more.
Yeah.
All right. So tell us a bit about how fragmented data is killing your mobile performance.
Yeah. So for deep linking in particular, it's really important the parameters that you configure within the tracking link, as these can have an impact on where the user is deep linked to, and also if the user is even deep linked. Especially in the case of deferred deep linking, where you're deep linking a user into your app that's opening it for the first time. So maybe they saw an ad with a promotion to sign up for a discount. You want them to click the ad, go to the sign up page where they can sign up and get that discount. If your trackers are misconfigured, they may not get to that page. They may not get to the app. Or they may get to the page and the code that they needed for the discount doesn't flow through, so they don't get the pricing that they expected. And so there's a lot of issues that can happen on the deep link side. As far as like campaign reporting metadata, if you don't include metadata parameters like what campaign is this, what creative is behind this, you're going to be missing out on the ability to report across channels and to actually figure out which creatives and which campaigns are driving performance. And so a lot of times the link creation is a very slow manual process. It's fragmented across teams. And so there's a lot of room for errors to be introduced. When those errors are introduced, you can break attribution completely. If you forget to add device identifiers or things like that in your link that we need for attribution, you could have a bunch of clicks that we can't map to anything in your app. Beyond that, it could be that we're still performing attribution, but the attribution data doesn't contain any of the parameters that you need to make actionable insights.
And these are huge items, working, as you said, either in your application or have a campaign where, again, you've spent all of this money, but things are broken, and then you cannot accurately track everything. You can't measure your success. You can't measure what your team's efforts really resulted in.
Yeah.
All right. So before we move on, we want to give everyone a moment to self-assess. Here we have 5 signs that your tracking needs governance. So we have sign number 1, which is discrepancies over 10% between your teams and your dashboards. So your teams and your dashboards are reporting wildly different results. We have sign number 2, which is that your campaign links require custom work every time. We have sign number 3, which is that broken links are discovered after launch. And we have sign number 4, cross-channel user journeys are a mystery. We don't know, for users who purchased an app, we don't know what channel touched them first. We don't know where they came from in the marketing journey. And sign number 5, parameter naming varies by team or campaign. So you're naming each of the items in your campaign differently. So you also cannot properly connect those together. Now, we did push out a poll to ask what your team is suffering with the most. And on our end, it looks like a lot of members here are suffering from cross-channel user journeys being a mystery. And from there, we also have a few people suffering from number one, teams and dashboards reporting wildly different results and campaign links requiring custom work every time. And then finally, we have some people also suffering from parameter naming varying by team or campaign. And Jeff, what problem do you see the most at Kochava?
I would say the biggest problem we'd see at Kochava is kind of a non-standardization between teams. You have a lot of teams touching Kochava, creating links, but there isn't like a governance layer that tells them, hey, create the tracking links with these parameters so that we can aggregate all of these campaigns into a single reporting channel and kind of analyze across those different channels.
Yeah, definitely huge problems, all of them across the board. Now, we're going to take a quick moment for something a little fun. Now, what did mobile attribution say to mobile linking? Jeff, do you know?
I'm not sure.
All right. Well, mobile attribution said, I'll take the credit from here. A little mobile attribution joke to keep in your back pocket. Jeff, I'm not sure if that was on your bingo card this year. It was not on mine initially.
Nope. Although I do make a lot of mobile attribution jokes here, so.
All right, all right. All right, so before we dive into the solution, let's take a look at why teams often struggle with mobile attribution. Now, most mobile attribution problems don't start in your mobile measurement platform or MMP. They start upstream in how links get built. Now, link creation is often decentralized. You have multiple teams, multiple agencies, no shared standard. And the further it is from a shared standard, the harder attribution becomes downstream. And that right there is a huge governance problem. So what does solving this actually look like? On the back end, it looks like a unified taxonomy or how you name your campaigns. You have required fields defined up front. You have templatized link building and pre-launch validation. Now, these four things are what separate teams that trust their attribution from teams that don't. And getting these right, and if you get these right, then everything downstream gets easier from there. All right. So let's take a look at what happens when you get your governance right. When that happens, here's what opens up. You get faster campaign launches, linking consistency, and cleaner cross-channel reporting. You get less dependence on the one person who knows how the links work, and you get governance that makes institutional knowledge a system and not a person. Now, also, you get everyone operating at the same standard. On top of that, you also get reliable mixed media modeling, or MMM, and incrementality inputs. You get faster agency, team, and partner onboarding, and you get confidence in AI and automation. Because the quality of your AI outputs depend entirely on the quality of your data inputs. So here we're thinking about data enrichment. Now, beyond these six, you also get linking consistency across every channel. You get metadata governed at the source, and you get scalable measurement that you can trust. And that is the full picture. That is the goal for what we are wanting and what we're looking for when we have strong data governance. So moving forward, we've talked a lot about what good governance looks like and what it unlocks. Now, I want to take a quick moment to look at how Claravine actually makes that happen in practice. Now, Claravine is the data standards cloud. It sits between your campaign planning and your MMP, enforcing your data standards at the moment those links are created. So before anything reaches Kochava, Claravine has already validated it, enriched it with metadata, and structured it the way your MMP expects. So going through this super quickly, the first step is connecting Claravine to your MMP. Now, what you're seeing here is the Kochava integration. And what's important to understand is that this is bidirectional. Claravine pulls in the parameters that Kochava expects and pushes clean, validated data back out. So there's no manual handoff between teams, no translation layer, and nobody accidentally naming something differently on the way through. Now, here at Claravine, some of the big things that we see when customers first come to us is that customers are looking for a solution that they can scale. They want something that they can use across all of their teams. Additionally, they want something that gives them granular access control. They can control who has access to what in our platform and who doesn't. And on top of that, it gives teams the ability to really control their governance in one place, in one unified system. All right. So, taking a very quick look at what the shift from inconsistent data to strong data governance looks like. Now, on the left, we have fragmented data, manual processes, broken links, all discovered after launch. And we have stakeholders who have stopped trusting the numbers. On the right, we have a unified taxonomy, which is what we're really hoping for. We have automated link generation. We have 100% validated links. And we have a single source of truth that everyone can rely on. Now, Jeff, I wanted to ask, what are some of the most common reasons that customers come to Kochava to begin with? And do you feel that stakeholders losing trust in their attribution data is one of those strong reasons that really pushes them towards you?
Yeah, I think people are driven to Kochava to connect kind of the data sources that they have between all of their advertising efforts. And so you have different marketing teams that are running across different channels, and none of these channels are really communicating. And so what you end up having is over-indexing your attribution towards all of these channels. By consolidating your attribution into an MMP like Kochava, we can look at the full picture across all of your media partners and determine which advertisements are really driving the incremental value and in-app actions that you're looking for. And then um, I'm sorry, I blanked for a second there. But basically I'm sorry,
That's all right.
that was fast.
For me, when I think about Kochava, I think about a lot of customers again losing that trust in the attribution data. And what customers ultimately want, whether working in Claravine or Kochava, is full journey visibility. And of course, they want to make sure that they're tracking everything correctly as well. All right. So moving forward, we're going to take a glance at what this actually looks like in both Claravine and Kochava. Now, in Claravine, the first thing that you do when setting up Claravine to your mobile attribution platform is you would connect that platform. So here you're looking at the bi-directional Kochava integration. So Claravine pulls in the parameters Kochava expects and pushes that validated, enriched data back out. And at a minimum, Kochava needs a consistent campaign identifier, channel, and source parameters to attribute correctly. So the more context and the more information that you can pass, the better creative placement and targeting segments happen. And ultimately, the more granular your reporting gets. Now, this is where the enrichment piece that Claravine handles really pays off. So this is what I think of when I think about that enrichment piece. This is where your governance standards actually live in practice. So every field, naming convention, and metadata requirement your team needs is all in one place and governed from the same point. There's no building from scratch. And on top of that, what I love about Claravine is that AI is actually built into the governance layer itself. You can automatically catch and correct metadata errors. You can generate governed campaign data directly from a media plan, and you can build out large volumes of campaign data without manual entry. Now, one thing that really excites me is that we also have an MCP agent at Claravine that you can connect to. And overall, all of these tools just make it so that governance isn't just enforced by rules, but it's also actively maintained by AI. And I want to take a quick moment before moving forward. If you have any questions, definitely feel free to drop them into the Q&A section. And if anything's resonating with you, also feel free to put that into the chat as well. All right. So moving forward, one amazing thing about Claravine is that we have over 30 integrations. We have an API, webhooks, and we also have a Google Chrome extension to ensure that you're fully connected across your ecosystem. Now, that means that when you're looking at the full integration system here, you can have everything from Kochava and AppsFlyer to Meta, TikTok, Google, Snowflake, Salesforce, and so many more. And this is really huge because your governed data, it makes it so that your governed data flows where it needs to go and in each format and in the format that each system expects. So, Jeff, from the attribution side, when you see a brand that has clean data flowing in from multiple channels, what does that audit trail look like compared to brands that don't?
Yeah, it's night and day. So when the taxonomy is consistent, when you can give a complete granular audit trail of your campaign performance, every install, every in-app action, every revenue event tied back to a specific channel, creative, or partner, it makes it a lot easier to report. When it's not, you get patchwork of data that's requires manual efforts to reconcile. You have to kind of do a lot of things in the reporting layer to try to synthesize data across those channels, and it can make it very difficult to get a full picture.
Yeah, just huge problems that can happen left and right, whether you're at the inbound, outbound point. And that's one of the things that Claravine, especially when paired to with Kochava, really helps fix. All right, so I'm going to pass it off to you, Jeff, to talk a bit about Kochava and what really happens when you're in the Kochava platform.
Sure. Yeah. So this screenshot here is the Kochava Smart Links. So Smart Links are an intelligent multi-platform destination linking solution by Kochava. You can use one link to route users to different destinations across multiple platforms. And so this is a screenshot of kind of the configuration setup for that. And so there's a lot of moving parts, a lot of places where you can get things wrong. And so having standardized data governance is very important. You can see here the QR code. In the example, there's these custom parameters. So you have this CP_0, email campaign ID. These CP_ values are custom parameter naming conventions that Kochava offers to give more granularity in advertisers' reporting. We'll parse those out into their own reporting columns. Adding these parameters into the link creation means they're available when the QR code is scanned, and then they'll be available in your attribution reporting downstream.
Awesome. And do you want to talk a bit about how you can analyze performance with the Kochava AI assistant as well?
Yeah, so this is Kochava's AI assistant. So what you're looking at is the Kochava UI viewed through an AI web facet. And so the AI can interact with the web page, view the data, and give you valuable insights very quickly. And so it becomes even more important to standardize your data practices when working with AI, because it makes it a lot easier for the AI to synthesize your attribution data across all those different channels. If things are fragmented, your AI analysis is not going to be as good. And so within here, you can see just like a graph of performance. This is monthly active users. And you can basically ask any questions that you'd want about this data. And then you could take, insights and turn them into actions downstream in your campaigns.
Yeah, and all of that is incredible. I know myself as a marketer, I love looking at graphs and I love really diving into the data. So I absolutely love seeing this built out in Kochava.
Yeah. And
All
so
right. Do you want to talk a bit? Yeah.
yeah, so here's the kind of reporting interface in Kochava. So this is where you would be able to pull in all those parameters that you've included on your tracking links. And so if those parameters aren't available, then your reporting becomes fragmented and potentially impossible. And there's no real way to recover that data. So it's really important to make sure to get it right from the start.
Definitely, definitely. And that's what we're thinking about here again when we think about our two platforms connected is getting everything right from the start so that you can optimize and maximize as much as possible. All right, so we're going to take a moment to pull all of this together. Now, when we zoom out, you've seen the problem, you've seen the solution, you've seen it working in practice. Now, this is the destination that we're aiming for. This is your North Star for mobile attribution. And what it looks like is campaigns that aggregate correctly across every agency and every channel. It looks like faster time to launch. It looks like attribution that your chief marketing officer can defend. And it looks like a single source of truth that finance, analytics, marketing, and teams across your company can all trust. And on top of that, mobile attribution that becomes a competitive, and on top of that, mobile attribution becomes a competitive advantage as opposed to a liability. Now, the payoff isn't just better attribution, it's time saved, faster launches, and quicker workflows across the board. All right, I'm going to pass it off to Jeff, who is going to tell you 5 things that you can do Monday morning. We know tomorrow's a Friday, so tomorrow's a wrap-up day. So these are 5 things that you can focus on starting Monday that will really help you ensure that you are looking at the right things when it comes to your mobile attribution and mobile linking.
Yeah, so these are the things you could do, Monday morning. So pick, one campaign that you've recently ran, pull up all the link parameters, and compare them across channels to see if things match. If they don't match, then kind of that's your first indicator that things are wrong. Map where your links are being built. So identify who's building the links, where they're building them, and how they're building them. Are they using any sort of templates or standards across the teams? Look at how long it takes to create links. Are teams having to go back and forth and try to figure out, do we need this parameter? Do we need that parameter? What did we track on the last campaign last year? And so having that standardization is important. Check your MMP data. So log into MMP if you have one. Take a look at the analytics and campaigns, see if are there unexpected values? Do you see weird creative names? Do you see things that you don't expect? And so if you see stuff like that, then there could be issues with your links. And then if So if you're not the one who owns, the link governance, forward this to someone who does. So attribution is a cross-functional problem, and it rarely gets fixed without the right people in the room. So brands winning on mobile aren't doing more; they're just working more consistently.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jeff. So we're going to move on to the Q&A. Now, if you have any questions, definitely feel free to put them into the Q&A tab, and we're happy to go ahead and answer them. It does look like we already have a few questions in here, Jeff, and they are about mobile linking and mobile attribution. So our first one that we have is, how does deep linking work for users that don't have Kochava installed yet?
Yeah, so through Kochava, we call this deferred deep linking. And so this is facilitated through the Kochava SDK and through attribution. And so when a user clicks on your link and they're routed to an app store, Kochava will then attribute when the user opens your app. That's what we consider the install. When that takes place, Kochava's SDK will call to see if the link was attributed to that install. If it was, we can pull any deep link parameters that are attached to that link and pull them into the app. From there, you could route the user to that destination. It sounds like a lot, but all this happens within a matter of seconds. And so if you have issues with attribution, then you'll have issues with deferred deep linking. If the click is never attributed to the install, the user won't be deep linked to the destination. They'll just open the homepage.
All right. That's really great information, and I love that you're breaking that down. We do also have another question, and that is, can deep links support personalization based on specific creative, product, etc.?
Certainly. Yeah. So deep links can support personalization usually through dynamic macros. And so you can append macros to the link when it's created, and those can be passed through to the destination and to the deep link. And so you could have specific creatives or referral codes or things that are passed from the click through to the deep link. And so, yeah, that's definitely possible.
All right. And another question we have is, are there any types of data that people should be aware of that could throw off their mobile tracking and their mobile attribution? Like, are there any examples there of data to really keep an eye on that can basically cause everything to go wrong?
Yeah, I mean, when you're creating tracking links yourself, and especially in the owned media space, in order for attribution to occur, we need to have device identifiers that we can match to your app installs. And so the biggest issue would be missing those parameters from the link. So that way attribution can never occur. So even if you have the creative and you have the campaign and you have all that stuff dialed in, if you're missing the IP address, so you're missing the user agent or the device ID, then we won't be able to tie those clicks to any in-app action.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that would be a huge problem as well. And then again, if anyone else has any questions, feel free to drop them into that Q&A or into the chat as well. I do also have another question here, and it's, is it possible to have one link that works across multiple platforms? So iOS, Android, web, really thinking about tying all of that in at once.
Yeah, I think we covered this a little bit on the Smart Links side. So Smart Links is Kochava's one link solution for all platforms. And so when a user clicks on the link, it can recognize what device the user is clicking from, and then it'll route the user to the destinations you've configured for that device.
All right. Great, great. So thank you all so much for joining today. I know that we've dropped quite a few resources into the chat, and it has been so great meeting everyone. So thank you, thank you. Definitely reach out if you have any other questions.